Welcome and thank you for joining me for this in-depth exploration of Elon Musk's life, achievements, and ambitions. Today, we will spend a good amount of time learning about how he grew up, the decisions he made, the companies he founded, and the global impact he continues to have. Some people know him best as the richest person in the world, but there's so much more to his story than large numbers. In fact, his biography is a fascinating mix of determination, risk-taking, creativity, and a deep desire to solve massive problems that affect our future. Elon Musk was born in 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. From a very early age, he stood out as a curious child who loved to read. While other children might be playing sports or enjoying toys, he would often be found buried in books, reading science fiction novels, encyclopedias, and anything else he could get his hands on. His father was an engineer, and his mother worked in various fields, including modeling and nutrition. The environment at home gave him access to certain learning materials, but it wasn't always harmonious. He experienced difficulties in his relationship with his father, and there was a fair amount of tension in the household. At school, he did not fit in seamlessly with his classmates, partly because he was introverted and extremely focused on intellectual pursuits. He taught himself to program computers in an era when personal computing was still in its infancy, and he was so proficient at it that by the time he was 12, he sold his own simple video game to a computer magazine. That early entrepreneurial streak, combined with his love of science fiction, laid the groundwork for the big dreams he would later pursue. Yet despite his remarkable intelligence, he didn't necessarily have a large circle of friends, and he often faced bullying. In a sense, books and computers became his refuge, tools for exploring worlds beyond his immediate reality. As he grew older, he began feeling that he needed to leave South Africa for multiple reasons. One reason was that the country had compulsory military service for young men, and he did not want to participate in that. Another was that he simply felt limited in the opportunities available. He longed to be in an environment where technology and big ideas could flourish. At the age of 17, he made a life-altering decision to move abroad. His first stop was Canada, partly because he had some family ties there, and also because Canada seemed like a stepping stone to the United States, where he believed the greatest possibilities in tech and innovation existed. Moving from South Africa to Canada was no small feat. He arrived with very little money and worked various odd jobs to support himself. He enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario, balancing academic responsibilities with the challenges of living in a completely different climate and culture. After a couple of years, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States, where he studied economics and physics. This dual focus illustrates something important about him. He has always balanced scientific interests with a keen business sense. Upon completing his undergraduate degrees, he briefly enrolled in a PhD program at Stanford University. However, realizing the dawn of the internet was upon him, he left after just a couple of days to dive headfirst into the world of startups. The allure of building new companies was stronger than the possibility of spending years doing academic research. His first major venture was a startup called Zip2, which he co-founded with his brother. Zip2 provided software that helped newspapers and other businesses create online city guides in the early days of the web. This was in the mid to late 1990s, when the internet was just beginning to become commercialized. Elon and his brother faced many hardships. They had limited funds and often struggled to make ends meet. But they believed strongly in their idea and worked nearly around the clock. The company gradually attracted clients and partners, and as the internet sector boomed, so did Zip2. Eventually, a larger company acquired Zip2, providing Elon Musk with a windfall of cash that left him a millionaire. But rather than retreat into a life of comfort, he immediately set his sights on even bigger ideas. His next endeavor was X.com, an online banking startup. The idea was to allow people to send and receive money via email, streamlining financial transactions. At that time, it seemed futuristic to many people, since most were still accustomed to using paper checks or cash. X.com soon merged with a competitor named Confinity, and the combined entity became PayPal. PayPal grew rapidly, capturing a large share of the online payment market. It was user-friendly, convenient, and arrived exactly when internet businesses were taking off. Before long, eBay, a massive e-commerce platform, acquired PayPal for a substantial sum. Once again, Elon Musk found himself with a huge financial gain. This time, however, the money was on the scale of hundreds of millions of dollars. While this might have been the moment to retire comfortably for most people, he had only just begun. The next step in his journey was something many believed was completely out of reach for a private entrepreneur at the time: space travel. He used the funds he had gained from PayPal to start a new company called SpaceX in 2002. The goal was shockingly ambitious: make rockets that could launch into orbit at significantly lower costs, eventually paving the way for human colonization of Mars. The idea was to break the monopoly of big government agencies and legacy aerospace companies by innovating rapidly, building rockets in-house and making them reusable. The early years were filled with rocket explosions and repeated failures. Rocket science is unforgiving, and every failed launch cost millions. At times, the company faced the prospect of running out of money entirely. Elon Musk poured almost all his personal wealth into keeping SpaceX afloat. Many of his critics and even some of his friends questioned whether this was a rational gamble. Yet he persisted, convinced the outcome was too important to abandon. At last, the Falcon 1 rocket had a successful launch. That milestone proved SpaceX could reach orbit. Not long after, the company secured a major contract with NASA to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. This was a watershed moment that solidified SpaceX's standing as a serious contender in aerospace. Over time, SpaceX grew bolder. They developed the Falcon 9, a more powerful rocket capable of sending larger payloads to space, and they introduced the Dragon spacecraft, which could carry both cargo and eventually crew. A key innovation was the ability of the rocket's first stage to land back on Earth vertically, allowing it to be reused multiple times and drastically lowering costs. Today, SpaceX regularly lands rocket boosters on robotic ships at sea or on designated pads, a process that once seemed like science fiction. Elon Musk's ultimate dream for the company has never wavered. He wants to send humans to Mars and set up a permanent settlement there. While timelines have shifted, he remains dedicated to making that interplanetary vision a reality within his lifetime. Meanwhile, another concern had been on his mind for years: the dependence on fossil fuels and the pressing need for sustainable energy. While still building SpaceX, he turned his attention to electric vehicles and joined an early-stage startup called Tesla Motors in 2004. Initially, he was an investor, but soon became deeply involved. At the time, electric cars had a poor reputation. Most people saw them as slow, inconvenient, and unattractive. Tesla sought to challenge that stereotype by creating sleek, powerful electric vehicles. Its first model, the Roadster, was a high-end sports car that Musk and the Tesla team wanted something more impactful: a reasonably priced sedan that could appeal to the broader public. That led to the development of the Model S, which launched in 2012. The Model S had impressive range, cutting-edge design, and strong performance, immediately catching the world's attention. Critics praised its acceleration, handling, and advanced software features. But as Tesla tried to scale up production, challenges arose. Building cars at volume is notoriously difficult, requiring massive factories, supply chains, and huge amounts of capital. Musk poured his own money into the company again and again, nearly draining his resources at points to keep Tesla afloat. Eventually, Tesla found its footing. It introduced the Model X, a larger SUV with distinctive falcon wing doors, and then the Model 3, which aimed to be far more affordable and reach mainstream buyers. Each new model faced tough production ramp-up phases that tested the company's limits. The world got a front-row seat to Musk's hands-on leadership style. He was known to sleep at the factory, issue directives at all hours, and push engineers to iterate quickly. Tesla survived those rocky times and later thrived, becoming one of the most valuable car makers in the world. Its stock skyrocketed, making Musk's personal wealth soar. Yet if you ask him about money, he often frames wealth as a tool for achieving grand objectives, like accelerating the transition to sustainable energy. In addition to SpaceX and Tesla, Musk has founded or invested in other ventures that tackle challenges on multiple fronts. He once helped start SolarCity, later absorbed by Tesla, a company focused on making solar power mainstream. That business installed solar panels on residential and commercial buildings, offering financing models that made renewable energy more accessible. He also founded the Boring Company, which, despite its playful name, has serious goals. It wants to create a network of underground tunnels to reduce traffic congestion. The idea is that in large cities with high traffic, building downward is often cheaper and faster than building more roads above ground. Boring Company tunnels could allow cars or specially designed electric sleds to transport passengers at high speed, bypassing typical city gridlock. Another venture, Neuralink, aims to connect the human brain with computers via implantable devices. This concept, often referred to as a brain-machine interface, might one day help people who have experienced paralysis or severe neurological issues regain some functionality. It could also enhance cognition, though such applications remain speculative and far off. Musk warns about the potential risks of artificial intelligence becoming too powerful and believes Neuralink might be one way humans can keep pace with rapidly evolving AI systems. Controversy often trails Musk. He has been criticized for labor practices at Tesla and for his tendency to make sweeping proclamations on social media that might move stock prices or generate confusion. His leadership style, which demands near-impossible workloads, has led to tensions with employees and frequent turnover in senior management. He has also been known to make grand promises with optimistic timelines, only to fall short or delay them when reality sets in. Nonetheless, supporters see these qualities as reflective of an innovator who aims high and believes that pushing boundaries is the only way to achieve extraordinary results. In recent years, Musk made an unexpected move by purchasing one of the largest social media platforms, Twitter, for a staggering sum of money. People worldwide questioned why a billionaire CEO of rocket and electric car companies would want to own a platform known primarily for short messages and heated debates. After finalizing the deal, he implemented major changes to the platform's policies, management, and even its name, rebranding it as X. Some praised his willingness to experiment, while others felt his changes damaged the platform's culture. Users have been divided over new features, moderation rules, and the overall direction. No matter what people thought, his ownership demonstrated once again that Musk is not afraid to step into entirely new arenas if he sees an opportunity to shape them. On a personal level, Musk's life has been equally eventful. He has been married multiple times and has several children. His romantic partnerships and family matters frequently attract attention, partly because of his public profile, and partly because he often shares personal news on social media. Balancing a family life with running multiple billion-dollar companies has proven complicated, and his schedule is famously intense. He has mentioned working well over 80 hours a week, or even hitting 100 hours when deadlines loom. Sleep often happens at the office, and he expects those around him to move at a similar pace. This level of commitment can yield remarkable results, but may also lead to burnout, stress, and controversy among colleagues. Musk's wealth, which some estimates place at well over $100 billion, stems largely from stakes in companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and others. Yet it's highly volatile, rising and falling with stock market fluctuations. He has said in interviews that his own lifestyle is not as lavish as people might imagine. While he has owned multiple homes in the past, he announced. At one point, he was selling most of his physical possessions to simplify his life. Reports surfaced that he was living in a relatively modest home near a SpaceX facility in Texas. Whether or not that remains true, it does illustrate how he has a different relationship with money compared to traditional billionaires, insisting that he is more focused on projects than personal luxuries. Speaking of projects, SpaceX remains at the forefront of his ambitions to expand humanity beyond Earth. The company is developing an enormous rocket called Starship, designed to carry both cargo and humans to the Moon and eventually Mars. Testing has involved colossal prototypes, some of which have spectacularly exploded, while others have partially succeeded in short test flights. The reusability aspect is central to Musk's plan. If rockets can land, be refueled, and launch again in quick succession, space travel becomes far cheaper. A future where large groups of people travel beyond Earth starts to seem a bit more feasible. Musk has talked about building a self-sustaining city on Mars. Though the timeline has shifted repeatedly, he argues that ensuring humanity's survival on more than one planet is a form of life insurance for our species. Meanwhile, Tesla continues to push the boundaries of automotive technology. The company is heavily investing in autonomous driving systems, often referred to as full self-driving or FSD beta software. This feature has sparked both excitement and controversy. Some Tesla owners adore the convenience and glimpse of the future, while critics argue that the software is still not fully reliable and that Tesla's marketing raises expectations prematurely. Regulatory bodies are watching closely, worried about the safety implications of widespread autonomous vehicles. Musk, however, remains confident, stating that autonomy will drastically reduce accidents and transform transportation as we know it. Beyond cars, Tesla has expanded into areas like battery storage for homes and businesses. Large-scale energy storage solutions allow solar and wind farms to operate more consistently, storing excess energy for later use. This dovetails with Musk's overarching goal of reducing fossil fuel consumption and mitigating climate change. He believes that robust battery technologies are necessary for a clean energy future, and Tesla's gigafactories are central to producing batteries at the scale required. He has also hinted at designs for electric pickup trucks, the Cybertruck, semi-trailers, and even advanced robots that could perform tasks in factories or homes. Back at Neuralink, the progress in connecting brains to computers has been slow but steady. The company has shown prototypes of coin-sized devices that could be implanted into a subject's skull, theoretically capturing or sending signals to the brain. Such interfaces could help paralyzed individuals operate computers or robotic limbs with their minds. Though the medical applications are enormous, ethical questions are equally substantial. Some worry about privacy concerns, the possibility of hacking neural devices. All of these ambitious endeavors share a common thread, pushing the boundaries of what's possible and looking far into the future. Musk's supporters say he is a visionary who is single-handedly accelerating humanity's progress in multiple industries. His critics counter that he is often overly optimistic, missing deadlines, and fostering a toxic work environment. Regardless of one's perspective, it's hard to deny the tangible achievements: space rockets that land themselves, millions of electric cars on the road, and a mainstream conversation about colonizing Mars. His purchase and overhaul of Twitter, now called X, is another testament to his willingness to jump into new spheres and remake them in his vision. Though social media might seem unrelated to space and sustainable energy, Musk believes it's important for free expression and open discourse. He has said that platforms like X should serve as the town square for public discussion, though critics argue that his personal style of moderation and platform policies can be chaotic. Still, he has shown no sign of backing away from these changes, continuing to introduce new features and even hinting at transforming X into an everything app where users could handle payments, entertainment, and communication all in one place. On a global scale, Musk's influence is immense. National governments, regulatory agencies, and international bodies pay close attention to what he does. If SpaceX's Starlink satellites provide internet connectivity to remote areas, that raises questions of who controls global communication networks. If Tesla vehicles become the standard, entire economies dependent on oil might shift dramatically. If Neuralink succeeds, the notion of being human could fundamentally evolve. Whether these outcomes materialize as he envisions them or not, the very act of taking them seriously indicates how profoundly he has shaped modern discourse on technology and innovation. He also regularly speaks about what motivates him: existential, risks like climate change, the potential for artificial intelligence to surpass human control, and the fragility of life confined to a single planet. He treats these not merely as hypothetical threats, but as problems to solve. This mindset explains why his approach is so multifaceted, spanning everything from drilling tunnels to building brain-computer interfaces. He sees major global and cosmic challenges and is determined to tackle them head-on, using innovation and commercial success as the vehicles for change. As we think about where Elon Musk is headed next, it's likely to involve the same combination of audacity and relentless pursuit that has defined his career so far. His agenda includes sending humans back to the moon, advancing Tesla's presence in the automotive world, growing the capacity of Starlink's satellite internet, refining AI at his newly formed xAI company, and continuing to tinker with X, the social media platform. He has repeatedly stated he wants to see humans become a multiplanetary species in his lifetime. Will that happen on his timeline? That remains uncertain, but he is investing enormous resources to make it plausible. On a personal level, he may continue to make headlines for his unfiltered communication style, his private life, and his interactions with other influential figures. Some appreciate his openness and say it humanizes a billionaire genius. Others see it as reckless and attention-seeking. Either way, it's part of the Elon Musk brand that has captivated millions around the world. There is no simple way to sum up an individual as complex as Elon Musk. He is simultaneously an entrepreneur, inventor, engineer, showman, provocateur, and futurist. He's made mistakes, faced lawsuits, and found himself in controversy more times than he might like. But he's also indisputably reshaped entire industries: automotive, spaceflight, energy, and more. If you stand back and look at the arc of his life and career, you see a consistent pattern of tackling immense problems and risking nearly everything for the sake of his convictions. To some, he is the embodiment of innovation and progress, unlocking the commercial space sector and proving that electric cars can outcompete gasoline-powered vehicles. To others, he is a symbol of the risks that come when a single individual wields so much influence without the checks that might constrain a government or collective entity. In any case, he has become one of the 21st century's most talked about figures, and whatever happens next will likely keep him in the spotlight. Thank you for listening and spending time on this exploration of Elon Musk's life and ventures. Whether you are inspired by his bold visions or critical of his methods, his story offers many lessons about the power of persistence, the importance of big dreams, and the role of technology in shaping the future. While not everyone will agree with his strategies or statements, his trajectory from a curious child in South Africa to a leader of multinational companies is a reminder that relentless determination can indeed lead to extraordinary outcomes. Whether you take away lessons about hard work, risk tolerance, or the importance of thinking far beyond the present, his journey underscores just how much a single individual, for better or worse, can change the world.